Hello everyone. So, for my first video, I figured I should jump straight in and we should be doing some talks about logistics. Because why not? The first one I want to jump in and basically look at is going to be the nitty-gritty details of what I would be doing when we look at a sci-fi game and what basically comes in along with it. So I based a lot of this information around the concept of we are effectively, shipping in stars without numbers, and we are looking at effectively what the ship can do, what kind of costings are going to be involved, and how it goes from there. So let's jump in. We're going to start out and basically say that we went on the higher end of the spectrum for the value of the ship, and we took out a loan of like 950,000 space credits. The game master narrator would be setting down the interest rate, and then from there you then be calculating your payment per calendar month. This, while Stars Without Number specifically has a very quick-paced time when you are not dealing with adventures on a planet or adventures on a derelict or any of that form, you will find that you blast through the weeks very quickly, meaning when you are doing situations, when you are doing just space travel, you need to check through and get money made. It also means that you're going to have a very good hyperdrive to cover more space per 7 days, but we're not here to talk about that. We're just here to talk about the logistics. So you own a ship. That is the equivalent of you owning a truck cab in the modern days. And you have got a certain amount of cargo tonnage that you can fill in and a certain amount of cubic meters. For the interest of just keeping this simple and not having to do the actual logistics of stacking cargo and what is available to be stacked, we're just going to say we are basing everything by tonnage. And our ship can take 100 tons. I mean, that is what, like, two 40-ton trucks in the modern day, or 2.5 to be exact, because you're very, very quickly, able to sort of, fill these things. So you've got what, like, the equivalent of 2 40-foot containers and a 20-foot container that you can basically fill in. That is decent amount of stuff. Probably not as big as you would want it to be, but it's a lengthy thing. You've got. Yeah, I'll leave that for you to imagine, but it's a good chunk of cargo that you can fill in. We're going to assume that our cost per landing per planet is going to be around 1,250, and what I would then argue and put forth is that this should be all-inclusive. That is your terminal handling fee, that is your manifestations, that is your certificate of origins, your ER1s, your processing through customs, payment of any additional fees, blah 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 blah. Now this, depending on the planet, the narrator is able to then circumvent that, and the players, should they turn around and say, oh, we're gonna smuggle ourselves in, they might even be able to circumvent this entirely. But this is then where the players are gonna have to come in and be financially interesting and have some variation in how they want to do their accountancy. Now, on the basis that we've got 4 to 5 players, we're going to assume each one of them have got their own room, and that they're going to have, let's say 2 spare guest rooms. And these spare guest rooms, they have basically put in bunk beds, so 2 people can sleep in there per room, so that's a total of 4. So if you were to only have 1, you could charge 450, and that's on the assumption that the passengers are going in the same direction as you, and you will be able to then basically charge them just basically for passenging, and they'll also cover for the food and lodging. Nothing fancy, but you can increase and decrease. This is your control cost. On the event of non-cargo jobs, because basing it again off the sci-fi world of Stars Without Number, you are going to be looking at the travel between planets and system is something that is not done by everyone. You've got the large factions, the corporations who own their own ships, who are able to move cargo around, but they are holding this oligarchy, and this is where your characters come in, and they are going to be special. They can travel, they are not a part of these oligarchies, they're able to undercut some of these costs. So that means that you can basically take the non-cargo jobs, which would be things like the postal service, and they can say, right, we need to fill up 1 terabyte's worth of just messages that needs to go to the next place, and you take that on, and you can fill it up and say, a corporation has several messages that needs to go through, but because of the security entrapments, they take up 2 terabytes. So now you've got free, and again you charge, one terabyte will be 150. Let's say we get up into free 450. Right, we can already see just by having passengers and by taking on effectively the equivalent of USB sticks filled with data, you've already covered the cost of your landing for your current place, and you're making a profit of 1,000. That's where the next stop is then going to be the physical cargo. But we've got to calculate that. Now, there are a number of different ways that I would do it. Now, I like to base it off my personal experience when I was dealing with shipping and my current experience with trucking. You've got a set amount of tons, we've got to make money off that. So we're going to say that our price per ton is basically 15 space cents per 100 kilograms. Let's say, and you can put in like a number of jobs. So I'm just going to take one as an example, and we're going to find one job. They're going to take up 90 tons of our space. We've got 100. Fantastic. Heck, we could even just do a that. Whoops. Minus 100. So there are 10 tons left to be worked with, but that's neither here. That's not important. So our calculations are effectively going to be saying we're going to have 100 for every ton. That's about 1,000 kilograms. So times 1,000, but we're charging them per 100 kilograms. So divide by 100, multiply by our cost, and we're now looking at this large job is going to be earning us 6,000 space credits. Now, here is where we're going to be coming into some of the other effectively colorings, you could almost say, and this is where it's going to, well, for me it becomes a bit more fun, a bit more interesting, because this is then where you're going to start seeing the impact of where the character's role playing equals that. Oops. Then we're going to be saying, right, if they role play on a neutral level, it's a simple come in, make the agreement, happy, everyone signs a contract, you move on, you have the agreed amount, you're going to earn that set of rates. That's good. No one's screwing anyone over. But let's go up and say they make a very good bargaining, and we then are able to basically secure, let's just say 1.05 or 1.05 times the value. You're earning now 300 space credits additional. Super. Let's go in and we say we're actually able to do even better. So we're now going to be doing 1.2. So now we're earning even more, and then we're going to go up and we're going to have a critical, and we're going to go straight in and say it's going to be times 1.25. You've gotten a fantastic deal, 750 space credits. Here you are. And we are now going to go the other way. You see, this can go, if the role playing is bad, that just means that it's now a question of whether the players want to take the job. So we're all of a sudden going to be looking at the job basically going down. So they might turn around and say, listen, we can have someone else that can do this job for 570. Are you able to match that because we like your services? This is reality. I have this happen to me several times where a client will say, listen, I want to use you, but someone's more cheaper. Can you match their cheapness and I get your service? I was like, okay, well, I've got to now see whether we still make money. This is where the group will have to see, have they secured this to then ensure that, or if all of this is zero, then they're going to have to go, okay, well, we need to do this, and we've got to make sure that this is being done here. We'll call that revenue for now. Profits. We'll do the calculations later. Now, equivalently, this is going to be even worse. So we're going to be having that times 0.8, and then equals that times 0.75. So now you're seeing the variety of how things can go. Now this entire section here is the role playing, and for the time being we're just going to say this was neutral. We're able to earn that much. We were able to secure 3 terabytes. We were able to secure, let's say, 2 passengers. Great. You're now looking at a revenue stream of about 6,100. Now, given that this is going to be, we're going to say this is the end of the month. We're going to be having that minus that here. That's the cost that's now going to be split. And what's it called? The salary per crew. We'll then say that, and we'll say it was a team of 5. Everyone earns 792 space credits and 50 cents. Not the greatest, at least for an end of month, but if this is something you're able to do consistently 4 times in the month, whoops, that's wrong, equals that times 4. Here you are. Now each character is going to be looking at end of month 3,170, and this is you then 4 times in a month paying your calendar. Now you might not have that to be done every single time. You might even be able to turn around and say like, okay, you've done this for once, you do that once, or you'll pay off the calendar month, the calendar costs once, and then the rest just becomes profits, and you start building up from there. Though me being me, the way I would want to do it, at least if I was in that game, is the more calendar months you take off, the closer you come towards basically getting rid of it. But that's again me thinking in terms of that. If we were to take all of that out, that would change how we will be doing the calculations. But that's the sort of logistics or administration that I would be going into. This might look daunting, but it really isn't. All of this right here that you can deal with right at this moment is already something that is very easy to calculate. Once you've got that, you just put a percentage. You basically multiply that by that, divided out by the 12 months. We're assuming Gregorian calendars. You've got that cost. You've got your base costings for per landing. You've now just basically saying, okay, what additional areas of revenue can we come in to offset that? What's the physical cargo that's going to be motivating us? How do we do a easy calculation, and how does the narrator control that to make it more interesting? This section right here, I've gotten pushback from other narrators when I tried to introduce that as a player. However, this was something I pitched it wrong effectively. This is here to help narrators make it easy. You've got a set rate that you as a crew can do. You've got what you can put in here, and all that the narrator has to worry about is how many tons are they putting in, how is this being calculated out, and then what kind of roleplay does it happen. And this is all like predetermined for them. Again, going in here, we're now just going to say you were able to secure 25. You got all of that. This has now been all been updated, and we're just going to say. We can even just to make this into an if statement. So we look up whatever it says in here in comparison to what it says over here, and return the second detail right here. So right now it says NA. We're just going to go in and say, put this in, whoops, plus critical. That's not going to work. So let's see if we can do it. Here we are. We're now going to go in here. We're going to put in here, dash minus critical, and we're just going to say it is a dash plus critical. There you are. This is now going to go out, pull out the information for what you are dealing with, and do all of this, and it all goes down and does the direct calculations for you. Everything changes in accordance. It just speeds it up for you, the narrator. It makes it easier for the players to do some quick accountancy. And then once you're going into that, you can then do the actual monthly, or better yet, we can do weekly accountancy. And then we're going to have into the fun parts of week 1, jobs, revenues, outcomes, profits, and well, come on, it's not that difficult. It's just that Excel is not liking me. Here we are. Put all of this in here. We can start going in week by week. And here we go. You've got 19 space weeks that you can go out. You can go in, do your little details. Cargo, 80 tons. Come on, it's not that difficult. 80 tons for passengers. See, space combat equals 850 repairs. You can go in and do things like this just so that you can keep up with it, what was going on, revenues, blah blah blah, profits, and then you can go through it. This is just me quickly blitzing through and having an idea for what you can do, and just showing you that the logistics, not difficult, the accountancy, not that difficult either, and setting up again something like this. Now this is really the critical part. This is where it can become fun, because now the character face, the face of the group is gonna have to go in and do that and do the sales. You're gonna have to. I'm gonna do a slight tangent here. What you can really do is that the group can go out of their way to then do all of the research. You can have the high intelligence character going out, gathering up the information about the client, finding out their profile, working with the sales character, to then being able to come in and have like the critical delivery to then win them over, get the contracts. The whole fact that that one of the players might be a fighter or warrior, then you'll be able to increase your chances for it, and you might be going from, I'm just gonna go in and say, you've got 45 secured here and here, and you might even be able to do physical cargo 1, and you can have 2, and you can have 3, and so on and so on. You just start doing all of these different levels, and that's what you do. You'll need to adjust this as you go along, like, okay, that's been done here, there, and then you're gonna having, I don't know, you can have one that's gonna be good, and then you're gonna have one that was bad, for example. Yeah, of course, you need to remember. You go in here, is it F4 again? No, it's going to be F. There we go. Why was that coming through as bad? I'll look at that later. No, not important. You get the idea that you can then quickly sort of adjust this to be locked in for where you're looking. And yeah, happy days. I hope this is at least somewhat informative, and that you get the insights of what you can do, just from accountancy, just to make your games a little bit easier when it comes to games like that. Anyway, thank you very much. I am the accounting DM, and I hope there's going to be more content coming out with these ideas. Thank you.